At the beginning of the film, we meet a couple, Sarah and John. John was well known in his field, while Sarah was pregnant at the time. One day, when Sarah's health worsened, she called John multiple times, but John did not answer any of her calls. When he returned, the most shocking news was revealed: their son had passed away. Since that day, Sarah became even more distressed and unhappy. She stopped leaving the house altogether. To bring life back on track, John made a new decision. He decided that they would do something unusual to distract Sarah, and surprisingly, Sarah did not object to it. They started searching online for a new house and visited several places. They even went to some properties and viewed them personally. However, for 1 or 2 months, they couldn't find a suitable house. They began to feel their idea was a failure and were on the verge of dropping it when a lady told them about her friend who owned a mansion and was looking to sell it. John and Sarah visited the property as per the lady's suggestion. The house was in a desolate, eerie area. Initially, they felt strange and as if the house was haunted. However, upon entering, they were stunned. It was a grand and beautiful mansion. While exploring the house, they met Amy, who introduced herself as the caretaker. Amy explained that the house was built in 1880 and had taken nearly 20 years to be renovated. Everything in the house was evidence of its grand history. Sarah felt the house was like her dream home. As they conversed, Amy prepared lunch for them. During lunch, Amy asked why they wanted such a secluded house. Sarah replied that they had faced many difficulties in life and now wanted to start afresh in a quiet place. Hearing this, Amy agreed and suggested they stay in the house for a couple of days before discussing the deal. Excited by this proposal, Sarah and John decided to stay in the house. Amy gave them only one instruction: they must not open the basement door under any circumstances while staying there. That night, they stayed in the house. The next morning, when they woke up to thank Amy, they realized she was not in the house. All they found was a letter from Amy saying she was gifting the house to them. This shocked both of them. How could someone give away their house to complete strangers? Sarah and John were total strangers to Amy. In her letter, Amy had written just one condition: under no circumstances were they to open the basement door. John couldn't believe any of it. He felt like this was all a prank and that there was some big secret hidden behind that basement door, something that could be dangerous. As they were discussing this, some of Amy's friends arrived. They brought property papers for the house, which shocked both of them. John still wasn't convinced about keeping the house, but Sarah persuaded him. She said, "Look, this house already has everything. If we buy a new house, we'll have to spend a lot on renovations, but here we won't have to spend anything. So what's the problem?" Reluctantly agreeing to Sarah's reasoning, John decided to keep the house. They shifted into the house and spent the next few days happily. Soon, they organized a welcome party at the house. During the party, Lisa appeared. Lisa was John's ex-girlfriend. Even after John married Sarah, he had an affair with Lisa, but after the death of his son, John had cut all ties with her. Seeing her suddenly at the party made John nervous. John started worrying that his wife might find out about Lisa. He pulled Lisa aside to talk privately and asked her, "What's your purpose here?" Lisa replied, "I have no purpose. A friend of mine invited me here." Before John could say anything else to Lisa, he heard a loud noise outside. Alarmed, John ran outside and saw some strangers holding bottles of petrol. They threatened to burn down the house unless John and Sarah vacated it immediately. They warned, "Leave this house peacefully, or we'll burn it to the ground." This was deeply distressing, but the men left for the time being. The next day, when John went to the office, he learned something even more shocking. Someone had filed a false report against him, causing him to be suspended from work while the matter was investigated. John was deeply troubled by all of this but couldn't tell his wife. He was afraid she might learn about Lisa. John acted as if everything was normal at home. But slowly, his attention kept drifting back to the basement door, the one Amy had strictly instructed them not to open. Thinking about it, John stood in front of the basement door. He wondered what could possibly be inside that made opening it forbidden. He tried to break the lock and open it, but when it didn't budge, he decided to look at the design plans for the house. He hoped they would give him some clue about what was hidden in the basement. To get the plans, he went to the US-based company that had designed the house. An employee there told John that the previous residents of the house had also requested the design plans multiple times. However, no one had actually come to collect them. This information was unsettling. The employee also revealed that Amy had lived in the house 20 years ago, but for unknown reasons, her wife left her, taking their daughter with her. No one knew what happened to them. John's curiosity about the basement grew. He began to suspect that Amy's family's secret might be hidden in the basement. Eager to learn the truth, John finally obtained the design plans. To his disappointment, they seemed normal. Determined, he eventually managed to unlock the basement door. Initially, everything seemed ordinary, but then he noticed a hollow sound beneath the floor. He removed some floorboards and found something strange, though before he could investigate further, he realized Sarah had returned home. Panicking, he quickly locked the basement and went back to behaving normally, not wanting Sarah to suspect anything. That night, John received a call from Lisa. She threatened him and demanded to meet. The next day, John decided to meet her at the office to clear up any misunderstandings. However, Lisa became even angrier. She had come to John with ulterior motives and, feeling scorned, decided to take revenge. Lisa resolved to reveal the truth to Sarah about John's betrayal. The next day, Sarah seemed unwell at home. She suspected she might be pregnant, and her suspicion soon turned into confirmation. Overjoyed, she wanted to share the good news with John. While calling him, her phone accidentally fell. As she bent down to pick it up, she found the house's design plans. Curious, she examined them and realized that John had been investigating the basement. Now as curious as John, Sarah decided to go to the basement herself. Meanwhile, Lisa arrived at the house, intending to reveal John's infidelity to Sarah. However, she couldn't find Sarah anywhere and came across the open basement door. Feeling even more jealous and angry, Lisa's rage turned into hatred. When Sarah returned upstairs, she noticed that the front door was open and quietly locked it, thinking someone might have entered the house. Later, when John arrived, he saw Lisa's car leaving the house. Furious, he feared Lisa might have told Sarah everything. He began following Lisa to find out why she had come to the house. Despite following her for a long distance, he couldn't discover anything. When he returned home, Sarah was waiting for him. She confronted him, asking why he had opened the basement door. John lied, saying he had opened it but found nothing. He didn't mention what he had seen under the floorboards, as he had already resealed it. Amid all this tension, there was also some good news for the couple: they were going to be parents again. Hearing this, John felt immense relief and joy. He was very happy, and perhaps now the grief of losing his first son was starting to fade. After hearing this good news, John also received a piece of happy news from his office. The allegations that Lisa had filed against him were starting to weaken, as during the investigation, John was not found guilty of anything. After this revelation, John felt a lot more relaxed, and his life returned to its normal routine. Moreover, a new member was about to join their family. John decided to prepare a room for the baby, and while setting up the room, they noticed a hole in the wall. Inside the hole, they found a bullet, part of Amy's old collection, which she had shown to him earlier. Seeing this, John realized that Amy might have murdered her family and hidden their bodies in the basement. That must be why Amy had forbidden anyone from opening the basement door. John discussed this with Sarah, and as they were talking about it, suddenly, there was a knock at the door. Police officers had arrived, bringing shocking news: Lisa was found dead, and her car had been discovered in the forest. The police came to question John because rumors about his affair with Lisa and the accusations Lisa had made against him were widely known. Everyone suspected that John had killed Lisa to take revenge for the allegations. During the investigation, John could have said anything to defend himself, but Sarah supported him. She had already lied to the police, saying that John was at home with her the entire day, making any investigation unnecessary. The police left without pursuing the matter further. After the police left, Sarah was extremely angry. She lashed out at John because the police had revealed his affair with Lisa. John tried to defend himself, wanting to explain that the affair had ended long ago. But Sarah cut him off and said, "I have known everything since that girl caused my son's death. I kept calling you, but even then, I knew you were with her. I endured all of this only because I wanted to keep our family together. But now, I can't stay with you anymore." Sarah felt she couldn't raise her child with a father who had an alleged murder charge hanging over him. Hearing this, John became desperate and pleaded, "Listen to me, Sarah. I didn't do anything with her. Believe me. I'm innocent." But Sarah was firm in her decision to leave. John, overwhelmed by the problems in his life, began to lose hope. His mind was consumed with thoughts, and one thing kept coming back to him: ever since they moved into this house, everything had gone wrong. John's problems seemed to multiply, and he suspected that the mystery hidden in the basement was behind all of it. Thinking this, he decided to visit the man mentioned by the designer, the one who had earlier requested the house's design. This man turned out to be the same person who had warned John to leave the house during the party, threatening to burn it down otherwise. Surprisingly, this man welcomed John warmly into his home. They began discussing the house, and the man revealed that initially, he too was thrilled to get such a luxurious house for free. However, as time passed, his life began to unravel. He developed a drinking problem, lost his family, and became convinced that the house itself was cursed. John asked him directly about the basement, but the man refused to say anything significant, only warning him never to open the basement door. Frustrated by the lack of answers, John decided to return home and break the lock to uncover the basement secrets. Sarah tried to stop him, but John refused to listen. Left with no choice, Sarah attacked him with a heavy stick, knocking him unconscious. She dragged him back to the house, where he regained consciousness the next morning. Here, a shocking truth was revealed: Sarah, not John, was responsible for Lisa's murder. Sarah confessed to John that she had also gone to open the basement door but found nothing unusual there. However, when she returned upstairs, she saw Lisa on the second floor holding her pregnancy documents. Lisa had claimed that the house was hers and that John didn't belong to Sarah. Hearing this, Sarah lost her temper, picked up a gun, and shot Lisa. Although Lisa was only injured and could have survived, Sarah panicked. Fearing police involvement and punishment, she strangled Lisa to death. The bullet that John found in the wall was from the shot Sarah had fired. After killing Lisa, Sarah wrapped her body in a plastic sheet and threw it into the basement. Later, she drove to a riverbank, where she disposed of Lisa's phone and other evidence, including her blood-stained clothes, by burning them. Sarah explained all of this to John calmly, almost as if recounting an ordinary incident. She then made John promise never to open the basement door again. When John questioned why, Sarah admitted that she had hidden Lisa's body in the basement. She added, "I lied to the police to save you, but remember, if anyone discovers the truth, all the evidence points to you. They'll blame you for Lisa's murder, not me." Sarah concluded, "So, it's best if we both stay silent. We'll tell everyone that we've been warned not to open the basement door for safety reasons." John had started to fear Sarah, not because she wanted to harm him but because of her calculated calmness and control. Sarah had a way of handling every situation effortlessly, which unnerved him. Despite knowing the dark truth, John agreed to her terms and decided to continue their family life together. He recognized that Sarah was determined to protect their family, no matter the cost. Sarah reassured John, saying, "The city is full of missing persons cases. If the police can't find any evidence, they'll eventually drop the investigation." Hearing this, John reluctantly agreed, though he still struggled with the weight of their shared secret. Together, they sealed the basement trapdoor permanently, vowing never to open it again. From that day on, their lives returned to a strange sense of normalcy. They lived in the house for years, celebrating festivals, hosting parties, and creating memories. Sarah seemed satisfied and at peace, but John's unease never left him. The guilt and fear haunted him, often reflected in his anxious expressions. Years later, they received an unexpected letter from the estate of the house's previous owner, Amy. It contained a blessing for their patience and perseverance, along with the key to the basement. This gesture signified that they were now allowed to open the basement and confront whatever lay within. The story ends on a cliffhanger. Would they open the basement and risk unearthing their dark secret, or would they leave the mystery buried forever?